My critique is not being focused on America First, but I largely blame that on our Congress because I serve in the House. I also blame that on who's advising him in the White House. You know, keeping him on nonstop tours around the world and nonstop meetings with foreign countries' leaders is not America First. It's just not. I think domestic policy should be the most important issue that the president and the Republican-controlled House and Senate are working on, and that showed up in the election on Tuesday.
But as the president, does he get some responsibility for that?
Well, of course. I mean, every president is responsible for the way that they lead, but they're also in a silo of information. And I think that's why after the election on Tuesday, you saw President Trump come out and react differently, probably because they couldn't keep him siloed. And here's the polls, sir, and this is what people are saying. I think he saw for himself, and he's reacted.
Okay, so here's what nobody saw coming. Marjorie Taylor Greene, yeah, that Marjorie Taylor Greene just went live on air and basically declared war on Donald Trump. I'm not talking about some subtle policy disagreement or behind-the-scenes drama. I'm talking about a full-blown, public, scorched earth rebellion happening in real time while cameras are rolling. And here's the kicker. This isn't some random Republican or some never-Trumper who's been waiting for their moment. This is MTG, the woman who's been Trump's most loyal attack dog for years, the person who defended him through literally everything. And now she's leading what people are calling a MAGA civil war. So what happened? What could possibly make Trump's most devoted ally turn on him like this? And more importantly, what does this mean for the entire Republican Party heading into 2026? But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us, be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video.
I'm going to say it's possibly accurate, but it's premature. I do think there are signs of division within the MAGA coalition, without question. And it's not just political division in the sense of our congressmen and senators and members of the House willing to break with the president. You're seeing some divisions around things like the Epstein files. You've seen division within the right over Tucker Carlson, for example. So fault lines are forming. The cracks are definitely showing. But the reality is Trump is still the absolute monarch of the Republican Party. And I don't think the off-year elections really change that, because I think he still can absolutely end almost any Republican presidential or any Republican political career that he wants to end.
Let me tell you, this story is absolutely wild, because when your most loyal soldier suddenly becomes your biggest threat, you know something has gone seriously wrong. And Trump is scrambling. He's confused. He's asking senior Republicans what's going on with Marjorie. Like, can you believe this? The guy who claims he has everything under control is literally calling around trying to figure out why his own people are turning on him. But here's what makes this even crazier. Greene didn't just disagree with Trump quietly. She didn't send a private message or schedule a meeting. She went on live television and aired out every single grievance she has. She talked about inflation. She talked about grocery bills. She accused Trump of having no plan while everyday Americans are struggling to afford basic necessities. And you know what? She's not wrong about that part. Inflation is still hitting people hard. Grocery prices are insane. Gas prices are ridiculous. And while Trump's been focused on, well, whatever Trump focuses on these days, his base is getting frustrated. They're wondering where the promises went. They're asking why nothing seems to be getting better. So Greene saw an opening, and she took it hard. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, yeah, AOC of all people, she actually jumped in and explained what's really going on here. She says Greene's rebellion isn't just about policy or principle, it's personal. Apparently, Trump personally blocked Greene from running for Senate. He shut down her ambitions. He told her no. And Greene doesn't take no very well. So now we've got this perfect storm brewing. You've got personal revenge mixed with genuine policy disagreements, mixed with political ambition, all happening at the same time. And it's playing out on live television for millions of people to see. But wait, it gets even better. Because Greene isn't just attacking Trump on inflation and the economy, she's going after him on transparency too. She's demanding the release of files on the Jeffrey Epstein case. She wants healthcare transparency. She's pushing for things that the White House specifically told her not to push for. This is open defiance. This is someone who doesn't care anymore about staying in Trump's good graces. She's building her own brand, her own movement, and she's doing it by positioning herself as the real populist leader that MAGA voters actually need. And here's where it gets really interesting. Some political analysts are saying this might not even be a spontaneous rebellion. They think Greene is playing three-dimensional chess here. She sees Trump's approval ratings. She sees the frustration in the base. She sees an opportunity to become the new face of the MAGA movement while Trump's influence is declining. Think about that for a second. Trump built this entire movement. He dominated Republican politics for nearly a decade. And now one of his own allies is trying to take it from him, live, on air. The fallout from this is already massive. Republican leaders are freaking out. They're worried about what this means for the midterms in 2026. They're worried about the party fracturing. They're worried about losing voters who are caught in the middle of this civil war. And Trump's worried too. You can tell because he's reaching out. He's trying to figure out what's happening. He's trying to get control of the situation. But here's the problem. When you lose your most loyal ally, when they turn on you publicly, you can't just smooth that over with a phone call. The damage is done. The world watched it happen. So buckle up. Because what we're witnessing right now might be the beginning of the end of Trump's total control over the Republican Party. And it's all happening because Marjorie Taylor Greene decided she was done playing second fiddle. The craziest part? This is happening right now, not last year, not during some past controversy. Right now in November 2025, as we're heading into what should be a crucial time for Republican unity. Instead, we're watching the party eat itself alive on national television. And the timing couldn't be worse for Trump. He's already dealing with legal issues. He's already dealing with questions about his leadership. He's already dealing with declining approval numbers. And now his own inner circle is turning on him, one by one, starting with the person he probably trusted most. Let's get into this. All right. So let's back up for a second and really understand what's happening here. Because the surface level story is crazy enough, but when you dig deeper, when you actually look at all the moving pieces, this thing is even more insane than it appears. First, we need to talk about the relationship between Trump and Greene. For years, and I mean years, Greene has been untouchable in her loyalty to Trump. She defended him when he was impeached. She defended him after January 6th. She defended him through every scandal, every controversy, every wild statement. She was the person Trump could always count on to go on TV and fight for him, no matter what. And Trump rewarded that loyalty. He endorsed her. He praised her. He made her one of the faces of the MAGA movement. She became this symbol of what it meant to be all in on Trump's vision for America. But then something changed. And according to multiple sources, that something was Trump blocking her Senate run. See, Greene had ambitions. She didn't want to just be a House representative forever. She wanted to move up. She wanted more power. She wanted to be a senator. And Trump said no. He told her it wasn't the right time. He told her he had other plans. He basically shut down her political advancement. And for someone like Greene, someone who's used to getting what she wants through sheer force of will, that didn't sit well, like at all. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so she's mad about her Senate run. That explains the personal beef, but it doesn't explain why she's going after Trump on policy issues. Why is she talking about inflation? Why is she talking about grocery bills? Why is she demanding transparency on Epstein files? Here's why. Greene is smart enough to know that if she just attacks Trump over personal grievances, she looks petty. She looks like someone who's only mad because she didn't get what she wanted. But if she frames her rebellion around real issues that Trump's base actually cares about, then she looks like a principled leader who's standing up for the people. And that's exactly what she's doing. She's taking legitimate frustrations that MAGA voters have, the economic struggles, the broken promises, the lack of transparency, and she's weaponizing them against Trump. She's saying, look, I've been loyal, I've been supportive, but at some point, we have to hold our leaders accountable when they're not delivering for us. And you know what? That message is resonating because here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody in Trump's inner circle wants to admit. A lot of MAGA voters are frustrated. They're tired. They feel like they were promised this huge transformation, and what they got was more of the same, more political games, more broken promises, more elites protecting themselves while regular people struggle. Greene sees that frustration, and she's tapping into it. She's positioning herself as the person who's actually going to fight for the base instead of just using them for political support. Now let's talk about the live TV aspect of this, because that's crucial. Greene didn't leak a statement to the press. She didn't write an op-ed. She didn't do a carefully scripted interview. She went live, on air, where she couldn't be edited or controlled or managed by anyone. That's a power move. That's someone who knows exactly what they're doing. By going live, she guaranteed that her message would get out exactly as she wanted it. No spin, no filtering, just pure unfiltered rebellion broadcast to millions of people. And the impact was immediate. Social media exploded. Political commentators scrambled to analyze what was happening. Republican leaders started getting flooded with calls and messages. The entire political world suddenly had to stop and pay attention to what Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying. Trump's response tells you everything you need to know about how serious this is. He started calling senior Republicans, asking what's going on with Marjorie. Think about that. The guy who built his entire brand on being in control, on always knowing what's happening, on being 10 steps ahead of everyone, he's confused. He's caught off guard. He doesn't understand why his most loyal ally just turned on him. In that confusion, that uncertainty, that's weakness. And in Trump's world, in the world of politics he created, weakness is blood in the water. Other people see it, other potential challengers see it, and they start wondering if Greene can break away, maybe they can too. But here's where this gets even more complicated, because some political analysts are arguing that Greene isn't just reacting emotionally to being blocked from a Senate run. They think this is strategic. They think she's looked at the landscape and realized that Trump's grip on the party is weakening. His approval ratings have been declining, his base is getting restless, and she sees an opportunity. If Trump is vulnerable, if the MAGA movement is looking for new leadership, why shouldn't that leader be her? She's got the media presence, she's got the name recognition, she's got the fighting spirit that the base loves, and now she's got a narrative. She's the one who stood up to Trump when he stopped fighting for the people. Yahoo News actually published analysis suggesting Greene might be playing three-dimensional chess here, that she's positioning herself not as Trump's enemy, but as his successor, as the person who takes the MAGA movement to its next evolution, the person who actually delivers on the promises Trump made but couldn't keep. And let me tell you, if that's her play, it's brilliant, because she's not abandoning the MAGA base, she's not turning into a moderate or a never-Trumper, she's saying she's more MAGA than Trump, she's saying she's the true believer, while Trump has become just another politician. Now let's talk about what she's actually demanding, because it's not just vague criticism. Greene is being very specific about what she wants. She wants Trump to address inflation and grocery prices with an actual plan. She wants transparency on healthcare. And here's the big one. She wants the Jeffrey Epstein files released. That last one is huge, because the Epstein case has been this conspiracy theory magnet for years. There are people on both the left and the right who believe there's damning information in those files that powerful people don't want released. By demanding those files, Greene is tapping into this deep distrust of elites that runs through the entire MAGA movement. And the White House reportedly warned her not to do this. They told her to back off. They told her this wasn't the issue to pick a fight over, and she did it anyway. That's not just defiance, that's a declaration of independence. She's telling Trump and his administration that she doesn't answer to them anymore. The timing of all this matters too. We're heading into the 2026 midterms. Republicans are already nervous about their prospects. They're worried about voter turnout. They're worried about keeping control. And now they've got this massive internal conflict happening in the most public way possible. Democrats are loving this, by the way. AOC jumping in to comment on it isn't just random. Democrats see an opportunity here. If the Republican Party is eating itself alive, if MAGA voters are disillusioned, if there's a civil war brewing, that's good news for the other side. And here's the thing that should terrify Republican leadership. This isn't happening in some back room. This isn't some Washington insider drama that normal people don't care about. This is happening on TV. It's happening on social media. Regular voters are watching this play out in real time, and they're forming opinions. They're taking sides. They're deciding who they trust and who they don't. The viral nature of this whole thing is insane too. Clips from Greene's live appearance are everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere you look, people are talking about it. Conservatives are divided. Some are defending Trump. Some are defending Greene. Some are just throwing their hands up in frustration. And that division, that's exactly what kills political movements. When your base starts fighting amongst themselves instead of fighting the opposition, you're in trouble, deep trouble. Here's another layer to this. Greene has been building relationships with right-wing media figures and influencers for months now. She's been doing podcasts. She's been doing interviews. She's been creating her own media ecosystem that doesn't depend on Trump's approval. So when she launches this rebellion, she's got platforms ready to amplify her message. She's got people ready to defend her. She's got infrastructure in place. Trump, meanwhile, relies heavily on his social media presence and loyal media outlets. But those outlets are now forced to cover this civil war. They can't just ignore it. And some of them are actually giving Greene a fair hearing. That's got a sting for Trump. The media ecosystem he helped build is now platforming his biggest critic. Okay, so let's break this down into what actually matters, because there's a lot of noise around this story. But there are really 4 core things you need to understand. First, this is about power. Pure and simple. Greene wants more of it. Trump wants to keep all of it. And when those two forces collide, something has to give. Greene spent years building her political brand as Trump's most loyal ally, but she hit a ceiling. Trump blocked her path forward, so now she has to find a new path. And that path apparently goes right through Trump himself. Think about it like this. In the MAGA movement, there's only room for one dominant personality. For years, that was Trump. Nobody challenged him. Nobody questioned him. Everyone else was a supporting character. But Greene doesn't want to be a supporting character anymore. She wants to be the main event. And the only way to do that is to show she's willing to stand up to Trump. To show she's got her own strength, her own following, her own vision. And here's what's wild about that. By rebelling against Trump, she's actually using Trump's own playbook. Trump built his career on being the outsider who challenged the establishment, who said what nobody else would say, who didn't care about the rules or norms or what people thought. Greene is doing the exact same thing, except now Trump is the establishment she's challenging. Can you believe that? Trump, the guy who spent years attacking the establishment, has now become the establishment, and his own protege is using his tactics against him. That's some poetic justice right there. Second, this exposes real vulnerabilities in Trump's coalition. The MAGA base isn't as unified as everyone thinks. There are genuine frustrations simmering under the surface. People are tired of broken promises. They're tired of economic struggles. They're tired of feeling like their concerns are being ignored while politicians play games. Greene is tapping into that. She's giving voice to those frustrations. And that's dangerous for Trump, because if other prominent Republicans see that this message resonates, they might start echoing it too. Suddenly you don't just have Greene rebelling, you have a movement. The inflation issue is real. Grocery prices are crushing people. The average family is spending way more on basic necessities than they were a few years ago. And while Trump's been focused on other things, legal battles, political vendettas, whatever, regular people are struggling, Greene is pointing that out, and she's saying Trump doesn't have a plan to fix it. That critique hurts because, well, it's kind of true. What is Trump's plan for inflation? What's his answer to rising costs? It's not clear. And when your own allies start asking those questions publicly, that's a problem. According to data from late October, inflation is still a top concern for voters. Grocery bills are up significantly from where they were. Gas prices fluctuate but remain high. People feel squeezed, and they want solutions, not excuses, not distractions, solutions. Greene is positioning herself as the person who's actually focused on those kitchen table issues, while Trump is focused on, well, whatever drama he's focused on this week. Third, this changes the calculation for 2026 and beyond. Republican leaders are already worried about the midterms. They're worried about losing seats. They're worried about Democrats gaining momentum. And now they have to deal with this internal civil war that's dominating headlines and dividing their base. If you're a Republican candidate running in 2026, what do? Do you stick with Trump and risk alienating Greene supporters? Do you side with Greene and risk Trump's wrath? Do you try to stay neutral and end up pleasing nobody? It's a nightmare scenario for party unity, and Democrats are going to exploit this. They're going to run ads showing Republicans fighting with each other. They're going to highlight the chaos and dysfunction. They're going to ask voters, do you really want to give control to a party that can't even control itself? The polling implications are serious too. When your own party is divided, when your leaders are publicly attacking each other, voter enthusiasm drops. Fundraising gets harder. Messaging gets muddled. Everything becomes more difficult. And here's the kicker. This is all self-inflicted. Nobody forced Trump to block Greene's Senate run. Nobody forced Greene to go on live TV and air all this out. These are choices, bad choices that are now threatening the entire Republican electoral strategy. Fourth, this reveals the fragility of personality-driven movements. Trump built MAGA around himself, around his personality, around loyalty to him personally, rather than to ideas or principles. That worked great as long as everyone stayed loyal. But the moment someone breaks away, the moment someone questions him, the whole thing starts to crack. Because what is MAGA without Trump? What are the core principles that hold it together if Trump isn't the center? Those are questions Republicans haven't had to answer yet, but Greene's rebellion is forcing them to confront those questions now. Is MAGA about economic populism? Is it about nationalism? Is it about challenging elites? Is it about cultural conservatism? Different factions have different answers. And without Trump as the unifying force, those factions might start pulling in different directions. Greene is basically saying, I'm the real MAGA. I'm the one actually fighting for the values we claim to believe in. And some people are buying that argument, which means Trump's monopoly on defining what MAGA means is under threat. But let's zoom out even further. What does this mean for Trump's legacy? For his place in Republican politics? Because here's the reality. Trump's power has always been based on loyalty, on the idea that he commands absolute devotion from his supporters, that nobody dares cross him. Greene just shattered that illusion. She proved that Trump can be challenged, that his allies aren't permanently bound to him, that the MAGA movement might be bigger than just one person. And once that door opens, once people see that you can break away from Trump and survive, others might follow. Maybe not immediately, maybe not all at once, but the idea is out there now. The possibility exists. Trump's reaction is telling too. He's not dismissing this. He's not laughing it off. He's concerned. He's reaching out to people trying to figure out what's happening. That shows vulnerability. And in politics, vulnerability is dangerous. Now here's what probably happens next. Trump will try to hit back. He might attack Greene on social media. He might try to undermine her politically. He might try to turn the base against her. But here's the problem with that strategy. Every attack on Greene just gives her more attention, more airtime, more opportunity to present herself as the brave truth teller standing up to power. Greene might lose this fight. Trump still has enormous influence and resources, but even if she loses, the damage is done. The crack in Trump's armor is visible. Other ambitious Republicans are taking notes. They're watching to see what works and what doesn't. In the base, the actual MAGA voters, they're confused. Some are siding with Trump out of loyalty. Some are siding with Greene because they agree with her criticisms. Some are just exhausted by the whole thing. That division, that uncertainty, that's exactly what Republicans can't afford heading into a crucial election cycle. Let's also talk about the media aspect of this, because right-wing media has been a huge part of Trump's power. They've amplified his message. They've defended him constantly. They've shaped the narrative in his favor. But now they're covering a civil war. They're giving airtime to Greene's criticisms. They're forcing Trump to defend himself instead of just attacking Democrats. That's a fundamental shift in the dynamic. Trump's not controlling the story anymore. He's reacting to it. And when you're reacting, you're losing. Reuters actually published an investigation about how MAGA-aligned media influencers are emerging as the new mainstream. These aren't traditional journalists or networks. These are podcasters and YouTubers and social media personalities who have massive audiences. And they're not all automatically on Trump's side. Some of them might see Greene's rebellion and think, yeah, she's got a point. If those influencers start amplifying Greene's message, if they start questioning Trump's leadership, that's a whole new level of problem for him. Because those audiences are young, engaged, and active. They're the people who create viral moments. They're the ones who shape online narratives. The Daily Beast reported that Greene is warning the GOP about a potential voter rebellion in the midterms. She's saying that if Republicans don't start delivering for their base, they're going to face consequences at the ballot box. And she's positioning herself as the person trying to prevent that disaster, while Trump ignores the warning signs. That's smart politics. She's not just attacking Trump, she's saying she's trying to save the party from Trump's mistakes. She's the concerned patriot. He's the stubborn leader who won't listen. So where does this leave us? Trump is cornered. His most loyal ally has turned on him publicly. His base is fractured. His control over the party is being questioned. And we're heading into a crucial election cycle where Republicans need unity more than anything. Meanwhile, Greene is positioned as either a principled rebel or a power-hungry opportunist, depending on who you ask. But either way, she's getting attention. She's getting influence. She's proving she can go toe-to-toe with Trump and survive. The next few months are going to be fascinating because this isn't going away. This isn't something that gets resolved with a handshake and a photo op. Real damage has been done. Real divisions have been exposed. And the entire political world is watching to see what happens next. One thing's for sure. The Republican Party is not the unified MAGA machine it pretends to be. Cracks are showing. Leaders are fighting. And the voters, they're caught in the middle of a civil war they didn't ask for. This could be the beginning of a major realignment in Republican politics. Or it could be a temporary squabble that gets patched over. But right now, in this moment, Trump is facing a challenge unlike anything he's dealt with before. Not from Democrats, not from the media, but from within his own movement. And that's the most dangerous kind of challenge there is. Stay tuned because this story is just getting started, and something tells me it's going to get a whole lot messier before it gets better.